All right. Well, I guess there's a lot of things that haven't just been that. But well, welcome back. Uh, First thing we need to get done is I already told you guys last video. This is going to be United Planets versus DNC. So I'm just going to get right into it because I've already done this twice now. I'm not going to waste your time anymore. The first thing that the United Planets needs to understand is that it is outnumbered here. It is outnumbered 3-1. Not only that, but it's only got better equipment due to the fact it's been researching more. That's what I had to get done in the last one before I had to remove it. I don't know. It just didn't work out. So now we're talking about comparing damage. Who has the most damage out of their vehicles? And that immediately is not as easy as you think, because it's not easy. When I really thought about it, at first I thought the United Planets would be the victor there, but it's not so simple. I think it is a draw. It is a draw, and I think here's why I think this is a draw. The United Planets only has good damage due to the fact of how efficient its military is. The NC is only comparative damage is equal due to the fact it has power in every single one of its vehicles, as it has older vehicles like the Rhino, the Trinity, the Darnell. Maybe not that much. Who knows? The fact that they have those tanks in their service, it shows that their vehicles are going to be right behind the Cobra. So I don't really see much in the department of comparison damage and who's better. Cost efficiency. This one is also going to be very hard to determine because the United Planets tanks are really good. They're really expensive. The NC tanks are really decent, but they don't have good damage. They don't have decent damage output. So this one might even be another. This might actually be another tie. So this is why I'm saying that these guys are an equal. These guys are an equal of the United Planets. And this is why I'm afraid, because these guys would actually do some heavy damage to the United Planets if they were to fight. Discipline. This one goes to the United Planets. No matter how hard the NC tries to copy their discipline, it will not work. Their soldiers are not used to such discipline. So this is ridiculous. Morale definitely not would be in the United Planets. By this time, they would actually not want to fight a war. At this time, they would not want to fight. So the NC does gain the edge and morale. So then here's the X factor. Oh boy. This X factor will determine the whole war. And if you think I'm joking about that, just you wait. The X factor, allies, environments, weather. The United Planets does have allies, but I highly doubt they're going to join the war just to fight against another superpower. I really doubt their allies would come in. As stupid as that sounds, you would try to save yourself before you save your allies, because you can't save yourself after you save your allies, because then you'll be the one attacked. So, yeah. The X factor, I don't know. I think, as stupid as this may sound to some of you, the United Planets has a slight edge in X factor. It has more allies. It has the environments, because if it fights with its allies, the environment it knows because it's fought in. It knows exactly that environment. And not only that, but it knows the weather that planet can control and could even spawn. So for the United Planets, I think the X factor will become handy in its long-term fight. Maintenance, that also goes to the United Planets. As big as the NC's military is, they base it off of cheap products. It isn't really that expensive comparison-wise. They only spend approximately 20 trillion, while the United Planet spends over 51 trillion credits. So their military budget is not as good, but it is rising, and that is giving the United Planets only a slight advantage in the maintenance. That is kind of scary. That is very scary. The economy. This one definitely does not go to the United Planets. The United Planets economy is at 1.7 trillion credits. Their economy is over 2.2 trillion credits at this point. They would be a higher economy than the United Planets. But that doesn't mean they can use all of that economy. Just because it's bigger doesn't mean they can use all that economy. And I think many people understand that in the comments. Resources. Who has more resources? This is not as easy as I thought it would be. But the NC does have a slight advantage in resources. I'd like to point out, people, they're neck and neck right now. They are neck and neck. This is how scary this is. They are neck and neck. That scares the crap out of me. It's like, who would win this war? Technological research. That goes to the United Planets. Easily. That easily goes to them. Territory. That goes to the NC. Reason why? They have more planets. They have 9 planets instead of 1 planet and a moon. It's obvious who would have the territory. 9 planets and 2 moons. It's obvious who'd win this fight if it was just based off territory. But now, here is where everything comes down. Every single thing comes down to industrial capacity. Oh, hell. We are going to be in for some hell of a time. Who has the better industrial capacity? Who has the better industries? Before you say, well, the NC is bigger, surely it must have better factories. That's not the case in this scenario. The NC does have a lot of factories, but they're not as efficient. The United Planets has 38 million factories that are almost 10 times the efficiency of Earth factories. Their factories are only about 2 times the efficiency, but they have over 100 million. So the United Planets has nearly 2 times the producing power. But at the same time, if they are attacked and some of their factories are destroyed, that could reduce efficiency. That is why this is such a hard thing. But as tough as it is, I have to make a decision here. This is going to base everything. I think a slight advantage of industrial capacity goes to the United Planets. Barely. It is a barely. And I told you, X factor would become important. Because if it was not for the X factor, the United Planets would not probably have the industrial capacity to defeat the NC or anything else. So let's compare what they got. The United Planets is equipment, comparison of damage, cost efficiency, discipline, the X factors on their side, maintenance, tech research, and industries. Both sides have comparison damage, so cross that out. The NC has the numbers, the cost efficiency. Oh no, both cost efficiency also is a tie. They have numbers, morale, economy, resources, and territory. Who would win? Who would win? Oh, the United Planets has better equipment. It can rebuild that equipment much better than the NC can. And the fact that their equipment is better already, they can rebuild that equipment just about the same as they can rebuild outdated equipment, along with the X factor, high maintenance, the tech research they can have. They could build a lot of brand new tech right off the bat, while the NC has to wait multiple years. I think that is going to be this big deciding factor. I think here is my final verdict. Here is my final verdict. This would be a minor United Planets victory, but only 6 times out of 10. Why? Well, they have the numbers, they have the economy to do it, they have the resources, but they don't have one thing that they need: discipline. There's discipline, equipment, and industries they lack. Due to the fact they lack those 3 things, which are very important in a military, matter of fact, I think they would slowly realize they are not in a winning side or a winning position to fight the United Planets. I mean, the tech research and the maintenance, the fact that they can pay for such a large military and be perfectly fine with their economy, the NC uses barely any chunk of their GDP. If they started using more, they would probably have a bigger GDP per capita, along with a larger military budget than the United Planets. They could finally buy Cobra tanks and actually go toe to toe with us. But that is the only time that I see them anywhere having a chance at winning, other than just simply wearing the United Planet soldiers out. For the first time in a long time, the United Planets is in a near neck and neck battle. And here's the piece of paper. It's already filled down to the bottom. This was how close the battle was. There's only one difference right here, industrial capacity. That was the only difference in this. Had X factor not been taken into account, they would have been neck and neck. They would have been completely neck and neck. But it's due to the fact that if they defend their allies in their territory, they will be the victors. So I am glad to say everything. I am glad to say the United Planets still has that military prowess that they had all those years ago. I was so surprised when I saw the results come in that it would be a minor United Planets victory. It would be a minor victory. Sure, you have all the big things that contribute to a massive war, but this is not a massive war. This is a 1v1. Sure, you've got all the resources, but that doesn't mean you can use it. And that's why cost efficiency is going to matter, along with the discipline, the maintenance, and the tech research. If you have similar cost efficiency, but you have a higher maintenance, you're going to be more effective in the battlefield. So that is why the United Planets will win this fight. That it's literally due to that high maintenance. If they did not have one of those other things that they have right now, such as discipline, X factor, the maintenance, tech research, industries for equipment, they wouldn't win. They would actually tie. And if they had not had two of those, they'd lose. There is only one reason. There's only one reason why they are winning this war. It's due to the fact that they could produce equipment at a slightly better rate than the NC can. Not just any equipment, better equipment than the NC can. Yeah? So it comes to show you, they would win, but I'm telling you, this war would kill a lot of people. I've actually done some calculations, and I've even done the approximation about how many men would die from the United Planets in this conflict. That is about how many people would die. 4.3 million. That is huge. That would completely shape differently. But the NC is not any better, because the NC's losses amount to between this much between 11 to 14.6 million. That is how bad they got beat. To picture this in perspective, they lost more men per their military size than the United Planets did. They got hit just as hard as we did. But the difference is their economy couldn't take such a hit, because unlike the United Planets economy, their economy is not built to take massive hits. It's built to be about the same size every year. So this would become a big, big, bad conflict that would eventually end in their defeat, due to the fact that their military and their country would not be built. I could definitely see an NC collapse, a complete NC collapse on all fronts, or just a collapse from within. Maybe there's a civil war that occurs after the event. Maybe there's a civil war and it just completely shatters the country. The United Planets, though, would be also in a pretty big state as well, because they just saved their position as galactic power. So I could definitely see this as similar to like a World War III scenario, but the US barely wins and comes out on top. Final verdict is done. The United Planets would win. The NC would lose, and we are done. Finally. Now, before I do go, I want to make sure if you guys any suggestions of any single faction that you want to fight against the BAS series, or even another series that I haven't read yet. Now I'm actually taking not just Blood and Steel versus other series, but maybe Blood and Steel versus Blood and Steel. Maybe what if this faction fought this faction? Or maybe non-BAS versus non-BAS. Maybe this faction from another universe versus this faction from another universe. This is completely up to you guys down in the comments. If you guys really want to see more of this, please tell me in the comments, because I will do more if you guys ask for more. Now that finally concludes what I've been trying to get for today's video for so long. Thank you guys so much for watching. I was so shocked of the results, but as of right now, these will stay. And I have a feeling that this is going to be something that the United Planets needs to focus on. Keep in mind, there are a handful of things I did not take into account here. Conscription, mass resource mining and refining, and mass production. I've not taken any of those into content here. If I had done that, most likely it wouldn't have changed the result. I have a good feeling it wouldn't have changed anything. I don't think it would change any of the results. I don't think it would do any realistic change. So thank you guys so much for watching. Stay tuned for the next video if you like this series so much. I'll see you guys next time.